Jane?
I'm ready.
Okay. 응답하라 여친.
Go to the in to the 실.
Pak to the kyung to the chu. Yes. Jane,
Mm-hmm.
I am so excited because we've never done one of these, but it's sort of like a thing.
Yeah.
Am I the asshole?
Mm-hmm. I love those. I love reading the threads.
Right.
Yeah.
And I came across one that I thought you and I could relate to.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read it to you.
Okay.
Okay. The headline title for this is Am I the Asshole for Not Making It Known I Understand Spanish to My Girlfriend's Family when they talked about me? Okay, let me give you the full story though, okay?
Mm-hmm.
24-year-old male met his girlfriend's family for the first time over Zoom after moving in together in quarantine. He is white and his girlfriend is Latina. But what his girlfriend and her family didn't know at the time is his adopted mother is Mexican and taught him to speak Spanish at a young age. While everything was fine at first, it didn't take long for the family to switch to Spanish to share their actual thoughts on the new partner. Her grandma was the first to say something in Spanish, and her words surprised me because she was literally so nice talking to me and then suddenly switched to saying something else. ¿Por qué otro güero? Why another white boy? Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Then she asked, when can she set her up with one of her friend's nephews?
Okay.
As other family members shared their thoughts in Spanish as well, this 24-year-old sat back and listened. I didn't say anything because I was curious what their real thoughts on me were. It kind of sucked that they were so freely talking about me right in front of my face. Once the criticism suggested he move in with her because he didn't have any money, he decided to show off his hidden talent. I answered in Spanish. We moved in together. I answered in Spanish. We moved in together because we wanted to take the next step in our relationship, and we love each other. The girlfriend's family was stunned and profusely apologized for what they had said. The sister is telling us what I did was petty and mean because I embarrassed them. That I should have said I knew Spanish because that was a conversation I wasn't meant to understand, be part of. Therefore, it wasn't my business to listen in. Yeah. Hidden talents aside, what do you think the vote was on this? Is he the asshole or is he not the asshole?
There's like two different questions.
The reason I wanted to bring up this particular one was that you and I speak in Korean sometimes.
Yes.
And we do say shit. But so I inherently when you hear the story, right?
Yeah.
Which version are you hearing yourself as? The boyfriend or as the family?
The family.
I'm the grandma too.
I'm hearing the family.
Yeah.
I'm hearing like a white guy that's like bruised.
Yeah.
They didn't even say, well, it doesn't go into detail what else they said, but it's like pretty innocuous.
It wasn't even that bad.
Innocuous.
And it sounded like it's pretty early in the stages of dating.
Right. But I need to know more. Like, what was that in the same conversation that he announced in Spanish? No, right? That we moved in together?
I think it is. Because
the same Zoom call. And at this time, his girlfriend and her family, neither of them knew he spoke Spanish or understood Spanish, or so it's like those details.
That's true.
And is it like a Zoom call?
I'm assuming no. The girlfriend. Okay, here I'll make some assumptions.
Okay,
I don't think the girlfriend knew he spoke Spanish.
Okay,
it sounds like this relationship's pretty early on because if she did, she would have nipped it in the bud and said, "Hey, he speaks Spanish." I would, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So because she didn't do that, I'm guessing it's new. She didn't know. The girlfriend had no idea he spoke Spanish.
I feel like it's also odd that it didn't come up between them before he met her family. Like that she said, oh, they might have some opinions. They might, if she's dated a white guy before, they have some opinions. They might talk in Spanish or, you might hear some chatter in Spanish.
Right.
Don't mind it. And then naturally he would say, oh, I actually understand Spanish.
Right.
Then she would have warned her family, hey, Keep it to yourselves
Yeah.
until we're in private when he's not there.
So it must have been really early on, and it must have happened in that first initial.
Okay.
So she probably didn't anticipate all of this to happen.
Yeah. It's an awkward situation.
I think that if he was going to do that, you should have just bit the bullet. Is that the saying?
I would have brought it up with her after the conversation. If you wanted to listen in, it's like you're hearing Spanish and like, oh, they're talking about me.
Yeah, like once you decide to take one. Exactly. Yeah. You try to straddle both.
Be discreet and bring it up to her later. Like, hey, I didn't mention this, but I actually understand and speak some Spanish. Right? And don't embarrass her family. Yeah. If this is the girl that you want to date.
An act. He did do it to be petty. You agree with the sister?
Yeah, because I think he shut his mouth so that he could show him later. Yeah. And have that satisfaction.
I know. And have you ever done that?
I've never been in that situation, but I've heard of people in that situation. For example, people that I know who travel to Korea and they overhear people talking about them in Korean, and then like, what's the example?
What happened?
They're talking about like this family that came from America.
Oh,
and then talking about them, assuming that they don't understand Korean.
That's a bold assumption.
Oh yeah, very bold. But this was like the early 2000s, 90s. It's probably maybe it was less common, or yeah. But you know how when an American family travels, when I went to Korea, they knew immediately, and they would call me. Sometimes they would talk in English. Like I go to a cosmetics store.
Oh, okay.
And they're trying so hard to talk in English, and I would say 그냥 한국말로 하세요. And then they'd be like, 어머나. Like I thought, no 스타일이 너무 외국 사람 스타일이라서. Yeah. Like your style is so foreign, so that's why I just assumed English. And I'm like,
yeah. Okay. I don't know if I told you this story. I think maybe I told you in private, but maybe not on the podcast. So I was at a tennis viewing, and it was my husband.
What's a viewing?
Okay. So my husband and I would both play tennis.
Yes.
And it was his match, so I went to go support him. Got it. So I go sit down, and my other Korean friend was already there because she is also rooting for him and friends, and so so she's already like, come sit next to me. And she says this in English. I sit next to her. And they're playing. And there's like a row of Asian women sitting. And I could immediately tell they're Korean because they're talking fluently in Korean. And they're very Korean ajumas, right? And my friend says to me, she's like, oh, because we speak like you and me. We go in and out of Korean and English. Right. She goes, just so you know, there's Korean ajumas here. She whispers it next to me. I'm like, oh, right. Got it. I already heard it. Yeah. So, and then we're cheering, right? But there was like, I want to say like 5 of them. They came as a ajuma crew. And they were older. I would say I'm in early 40s, and they were in their 50s. So then they were cheering their husbands, like, and they were saying like, 내 남편 할 수 있다! Woo! Like full on Korean. Yeah. Right? And I'm like, okay. So then they're cheering like this, like being obnoxious, which is fine. That's like, it's a thing. So then I'm like, oh, me too.
Yeah.
I'm loud as fuck.
You're like, I can be louder.
Like, let's go!
Yeah.
Right? And then they do this thing like, 어머나. Like so, like, and I'm just like.
And you're sitting behind them.
Yeah, I matched their energy, and they couldn't fucking handle it, right? But me, I think everything's funny. Yeah. So they're like, 어머나, 시끄러워. Like, so loud. Like, so noisy. And then I'm like, so then I go, 너무 시끄러웠어요? 죄송해요.
Yeah.
Was I too loud? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And they had this like deer in headlights, like, what the fuck? Looked right at me. And they go, 한국 분이세요? And I'm like, 네, 제가요, 개그우먼이요. 또, I'm also a comedian. I can't help. I humbled myself. Like, I'm so loud. I'm so sorry. Everywhere I go, I'm so loud. I'm like talking. In Korean, like, 저 너무 시끄럽죠. 너무 미안해요. 애들 너무 귀여워요. Like, I'm just full. and they
there.
The
Oh my
rest
gosh.
of the match,
Yeah.
silence.
Yeah.
And I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious.
mean, that's your moment. So satisfying. But were they saying bad stuff about you guys?
Just that I was too loud.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to be as loud as them.
Yeah, but you nipped it in the bud.
Yeah.
Right?
It wasn't that
you
bad.
said, hey, I
can
understand
funny.
you.
Like,
Yeah, that would have been
wasn't
super
hurt.
funny. Yeah.
No. I didn't do it out of because I felt bad.
Right.
I did it out of this is gonna be funny.
Yeah. just for the look on their faces.
Am I the asshole?
No.
Yeah, I am.
Do you see how we can manipulate the situation?
Yeah. That's why I think most people thought, but the consensus was that the boyfriend was not the asshole.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
The consensus was like, no, they got what they deserve for talking shit about you.
But they weren't. It didn't seem
and
like they were talking.
And I think this is the understanding we have.
Yeah.
Coming from a culture, like a lot of people make Mexican family culture like as similar to Korean or Asian. Very strong family. Mm-hmm. They're gonna have a lot of opinions.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The whole topic of like, oh, our daughter is dating a white boy. You know, that is a thing.
Yep.
So I saw a lot of similarities.
Yep.
And in my opinion, like I saw it equally. Like it was should they have done that? No. Like especially like, but I know that we would be in that situation. We'd be like the grandma, like, oh, another white boy.
You also have to understand older generations, they do not have a filter a lot of times.
They have thoughts.
Yes.
And they like to let you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like you asked me, like, was this man being petty? And he was.
Yes.
He chose violence, right?
Yes.
So that's on him because had I been in that situation, like the story that I described, there was nothing at stake for me. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm never going to see these ladies again. If I do, I'm going to laugh in their face. Like, it's hilarious. It's like something to funny about. But if I'm meeting my partners or potential long-term partner's family, like, what he should have done is just listen, use that to his advantage, and just fucking milk that shit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Until you get to know.
Although that would be awkward later. You tell your girlfriend, like, so all this time you knew.
Right. That's a conversation for down the line.
Right. If they make it down the line.
If they make it down the line. I really think he should have just kept his mouth
just
shut
keep it and then learn
sign
all
off from the Zoom
secrets,
and then
and be a better boyfriend.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that was one that got to me because I'm like, oh, this is so relatable. There's so many relatable things about having that like family, you know, that's invested in your relationship.
Right. Even just knowing two languages.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we use it to our advantage. We talk in Korean to talk about the kids or talk about things that we don't want the kids to understand. But now they're understanding more, so they'll pick up a word here and there, and they'll say, oh, I know you're talking about this or that. And,
but there is something smug about a white man doing it. Don't you think?
Yeah.
like I think there's a little bit extra. So I was surprised that the major consensus was that he was done dirty, and I was like, I don't know.
I wonder if he wanted he would have brought out the Spanish anyway, you know, at the end.
Totally.
To impress them.
It was it would have been a playing card, but he just took a different route because he didn't anticipate the situation. And you know, the fact that I think that speaks a lot about him as a white man. Like, in that scenario, you have the chance to win over the family.
You really did.
And then you decided to squander it because your ego.
Yep.
And they didn't say anything that bad. Like, oh, she's dating another white man.
It's an observation.
Yeah. Like, of course, Mexican family might have wanted, you know, like, I mean, we get that all the time, right? Like, oh, if you were with a Korean guy, we can understand better. Like, a family that wants to be invested in your relationship, the parents always think that if you're married within your culture, it's going to bring the family together more. So, you know, it's not like super personal.
Right.
And in fact, if he had used that as his advantage, they could have been like really appreciative.
Absolutely.
I'm like, oh, wow. Like, he's not just a white boy. He can speak Spanish. He's cultured. That would have been a plus for
that
him.
would have been a great time to bring it up.
Yeah.
Another white boy, and then he, says
But
hello in Spanish.
But I'm spicy
right?
white. Caliente.
That would have won them over.
How many times do you get questioned if you're with a white man? If ever.
What do you mean? Oh, do I get questioned?
Yeah.
Never.
I get it all the time.
Why do they think that? By who? Like regular, like random people will ask you, or people on the internet?
Well, obviously, you and I have very different content pages, right?
Uh-huh.
But I think being a loud, vocal Korean American woman, I think I'm an eyesore, and people want to say, "Oh, it's because she's married to a white guy." Like this is not the typical or stereotypical Korean woman that we like.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you don't ever get that. You know why? Because you have such, I'm talking only in images, right? Because people don't actually know us until they get to really know us.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of your page, you have a very wholesome, like I said, you inspire me. You're the dream. If people like looked into the brains of Korean girls and like, what kind of mother you want to be, you would flash. They could just take your videos from your TikTok page and it would like play across like, oh my gosh, this is the dream Korean American mom, modern, like, you know. So I think because you fit that fantasy.
Yeah. I'm more conventional.
Yeah.
I'm more conventionally
Nobody
Korean.
questions.
Yeah.
Like, of course. She seems very Korean to her roots. Whereas, there comes me with bleached purple hair and I'm always like, fuck this and fuck that. They're like, oh, well,
she couldn't possibly be.
Yeah, she can't in her own right be this loud.
Like a Korean man would never tolerate that. Ugh.
So I think that's why I get it a lot. And it's like, and then it's always like a plot twist. Wait, she's married to a Filipino man. You know, but
is that, does that ever offend you when people make that mistake or make that assumption?
Yes.
It does. Okay.
Because somehow, like,
it's making a statement about their
who I am
perception of
depends on a man I'm with. That really infuriates me because I am very, very fortunate to have met the love of my life in my early years, college. I never even got to explore who I would be. He was like literally my first love.
You didn't have other boyfriends?
I did not.
Wow. What about for Adonis?
Same. We're each other's first loves.
Oh my God. But I would not
you wouldn't
assume
never
that for you.
Really?
Yeah.
I know. That's another assumption people make is that I've been a hoe. I wish that I had been a hoe.
I'm telling you, when people are so surprised that we're friends, I'm like, listen, like Ellen is who you see is who you get. However, there's a very sincere chabunan side to her.
There is.
Otherwise, we probably wouldn't get along.
Totally.
Like, you would be too up here,
right?
And like, but you always match my energy.
Our core.
Yeah.
So exactly. So from the outer layers, we totally look like night and day.
Yep.
But what, like we always talk about when we get into the core of our conversations, our values, our goals in life, we're like, we're very
there's
synced.
Depth there, and it totally makes sense to me. I think because of our friendship, it makes sense that you're with somebody like Adonis, because he is like even
steady Eddie.
Yeah, he never. He's very like not excitable. Does he? Right? I mean, no, I don't mean that in a bad way. It's like like good or bad. He's always just
so
even keeled. Yeah.
Yeah. He nothing shocks him.
Nothing shocks him.
Or when it does shock him, it's all like he does, and of course you will never see the side of him. Only I get to witness it at home. I'll be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This happened, and he'll do this thing. What? I'm like, you can't imagine it, right?
I think I can imagine it. Yeah.
So I'm like,
But he's playing.
Yeah, he's playing like he's being sarcastic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we are each other's college sweethearts, first love.
We didn't very, very sweet.
Really we had like little things that never went anywhere in high school with other people, but that doesn't even count, you know. But we were each other's soulmates from which is, I know, over 20 years.
Amazing.
Like wild, right?
Yeah.
We basically grew together from kids to adulthood.
So were you guys ever in that situation where you're meeting each other's families and they're speaking?
Oh, yeah. My parents were assholes.
Yeah. But Adonis
assholes?
Didn't understand Korean.
They're literally
he probably could tell they're talking about him.
So he did not speak a word of Korean. You know, bless his heart. He took a quarter of Korean at BCC. Well, now it's called Bellevue College. Yeah, he took a full-on quarter.
While he was dating you.
Yeah, to try to learn.
Aww.
And had I stayed in touch with my parents, or, you know the story, but like, were they like a more wholesome, welcoming family? I think he would have actually learned to speak Korean.
It up,
yeah,
sure.
But they were so just up and down with their emotions towards him because of their emotions towards me.
Sure.
But yeah, like I remember when we early on met each other. Oh, maybe I didn't tell you this story. So the very first time I tried to bring Adonis over, we had been dating like 5 years.
Oh my gosh. 5. I thought I fully expected you to say 5 months.
5 years. I hit him. Yeah. Because they told me I had to be with a Korean.
They knew you had a boyfriend though? They must have.
They were in denial.
Okay. I don't know how you could do that when you guys are all local. It's not like you're out
living together.
Yeah.
Well, but they also like oh my god, this is like unlocking some memories.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's
okay.
Good. It's interesting.
Okay.
So initially, I got kicked out. My mom paints a different story, but to everybody else, she told everybody that like I left the family. But I got kicked out. Then I had like a string of roommates that just like one roommate just fucking left one day and like was like, I gotta go. I got issues. I came to an empty house. I'm like, and then I was like, I'm fucked. What am I gonna do? I can't afford rent by myself.
You can't do that.
And then by this time, it was like the third roommate or something. And Adonis was like, why don't I just move in?
Yeah.
I'm here all
Makes
the time.
Sense. Yeah.
So then he eventually moved in. And then my mom wanted the key to my apartment.
Okay.
She's like, I'm gonna bring you panchan. I'm like, you've never brought me panchan. Like this is a setup. So I wouldn't give her the key.
Good.
And then she was like, you're dead to me. You're trying, and she's like, you're hiding something. So she kind of like, anyways, it was up and down. Finally, I'm like, when we were good, I was like, can I bring you my boyfriend to meet? And then they were like, oh, I think maybe I said it before the 5 years.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was 5 years. And then they said, oh, well, no. I think in the 5 years, I said, I want you to meet someone. They said, what, your boyfriend? And I said, yeah.
Actually, yeah.
And then, no, maybe. I'm getting confused now. It's been so long. This is how old the story is. So initially, I think after a year, I said, do you want to meet him? And they said, no, we don't want to meet your many 남자친구들's.
Many 남자친구들.
Or like, like I was a hoe in their mind already. And I was like, what? Like, I've been with this one guy for like a year. And they were like, they shut it down. Or my stepmom really most. Like, I don't want to meet your men. So then I was like, okay. Then I think 5 years.
Okay.
And I was like, we've been together like 5 years now. Do you want to meet him? You know what? It must have been even longer because
oh my goodness,
the first time they met, like officially met, I had a ring on. He had to propose.
Oh, they wouldn't meet him until he's like, your fiance.
They're like, what's the point of meeting your 남자친구s, like your men? We're only gonna meet the one like.
Well, where did they get that idea?
My stepmom. God, my stepmom thought I was gonna be a drug dealer. My stepmom thought I was gonna be a hoe. Yeah.
Why?
And I'm like, why would you think that?
You're the one who raised her.
Yeah.
I mean that.
But she always thought the worst of me.
Yeah.
And she'd always be like, if I find out you're doing drugs, you're like dead. I'll kill you with my bare hands. Like, 내가 죽여버릴 거야.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I never even touched drugs,
right?
Which is so, yeah. So then when I finally brought him to my parents' house, and he was sitting there, we were all sitting there and like on the floor, like silent.
Oh my gosh.
Because they don't speak.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like they totally speak fine enough English, but they were always embarrassed of their English. So they wouldn't speak.
Yeah.
And he didn't know what to say, so we're just sitting there, and I don't, like, just silent. And then my dad finally says, "So, you have parents?" And then Adonis,
the only thing that he could think about.
Doesn't say anything. He goes, and then I like slap him on the leg, like, say something. He goes, "Oh, I thought there was gonna be a follow-up." He didn't know that one. He's like, yes, I have parents. Then silence again.
Oh.
And then I try to like say things to them.
Yeah.
Say it in Korean, and they say things back. They're like, and they had never met a Filipino.
In their life?
I think they have. They just didn't know.
They didn't know anybody personally.
Right. They're like, what does a Filipino eat? Filipino 뭐 먹어? I don't know, food?
Yeah.
Filipinos eat food?
Yeah.
Like you and me eat food? Yeah. So that's how Adonis met my parents. And
But how was it when you met his family?
Oh my God, I met them.
Yeah. Way early on, I'm sure.
Like literally when I started dating him.
Yeah.
And hi, you know, my mother-in-law loved, she's like, "Ellen, I like you because you're loud as me." And you know, now we have like this love and hate thing, but it's all like good. But yeah, I met him, his parents, literally like the day when I just went over.
And very casually.
Very casually. They were always so welcoming. And yeah, it was just completely different. And now my mother-in-law is like the one parental figure that is in my life and our children's lives.
Yeah.
So you're really shocked that Adonis was my first love. You didn't think that?
No, I thought you would have had maybe a few boyfriends. Yeah.
That's my man.
I love it.
You know, we made it official in the parking lot of U Village.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
After trying to pick a movie at Blockbuster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, there's a Blockbuster there. There used to be a Blockbuster there?
I think so. Okay. Yeah. Around there. And now, of course, that's like ancient history.
Yeah.
But he actually had asked me out before, but I had friend zoned him.
What year were you guys in college?
When we started dating? Sophomore year.
Okay.
Yeah. So freshman year, we did freshman interest group together.
Okay.
You don't know what that is, right?
No.
It's when you get cluster of you're a freshman, you don't know what to take.
Yeah.
So they have these like courses that are clustered together.
Oh, cool.
And you can pick it and it hits all the requirements.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I did take a cluster course.
Yeah, too. And then you just pick it, which is really interesting. It does seem like it fake because that doesn't seem like anything Adonis would do. You know, he's like such a planner, right? Whereas someone like me, it was like the last remaining cluster.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So I hit that. But it was a shocking to me that Adonis chose that.
Oh, interesting.
And then we ended up, and the people who chose that cluster, there was like 15. And you meet weekly on a Friday with your senior advisor. And so that's how we were each other's only Asian person in the. So I befriend this white girl that I don't even talk to anymore, but I think she was like a Jehovah's Witness. Or a Mormon. I can't remember. But I was like, ugh, the one Asian guy is that guy. Because I was into Asian dudes. I was like, oh man, I really wanted like a hot Asian dude, but it's like that one guy.
Yeah.
And then he was like Adonis, freshman year of college, was like the Asian Urkel.
Aww.
And then he was like, ugh, the one Asian girl is like that girl who like is like fuck this, fuck that. So
what a story.
His impression of me when you did this freshman interest group, the senior advisor took you around the campus and showed you like different parts, right?
Yeah.
But at one point he was like, and this tree is blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, who the fuck cares about the tree? And hear that. And he's like, wow. Like,
yeah.
She's got a mouth on her. And that's how we became aware of each other's existence.
Love it.
And he was petty as fuck. Like, because I kept falling asleep in class. So I was doomed to fail. Like, so my notes, if you looked back on it.
You have little pen marks? Like, yeah. That's what my notes look like, too. Yeah.
You did that?
In classes I didn't care about. I took a diet and exercise class because it was an easy general ed for science.
Wow.
And it has like pen marks all over.
I cannot imagine you.
Oh, yeah. And like the ink blot.
Oh, that makes me feel so much better.
Oh, my gosh. Those 3-hour lectures? Torture.
I would sit in the back.
Yeah.
I would like, I think at some point I just gave up. I put on the hoodie and and I'm like, why did I even come?
Yeah.
And so then I asked him for notes. I was like, I gotta find somebody with notes. I'm gonna fucking and it was American history with this 8:30 professor who had like, you know, those apps where they tell you stories to help you fall asleep. He had that voice.
Oh, so he would just you were doomed.
In 1865.
Oh my gosh,
I'm dead. So then I see the Asian guy, the one Asian guy in my fig, and he's got 10 different highlighters, laptop, tape recorder.
What?
Typing away. I'm like, okay.
My goodness.
I dialed in on him and I said, I gotta go. So I left him and I'm like, hey, could I borrow your notes? And this bitch says to me, why? I was like, because you take really good notes. I had to kiss his ass. He made me beg. So this is the evil side of Adonis, my husband.
Interesting.
People think he's such a nice guy. But he knew that I wanted something, and he was like, I have a commodity here. Yeah.
I can see this about him.
Yeah.
He is a nice guy, but I can see that.
Yeah, he's not
a fool. He's not a doormat. He's not a doormat.
No, he's definitely not a doormat. Yeah.
But yes.
And, you know, one of the things that when we do fight, which is rare, because, he, like you said, he's so even-keeled, he barely gets rattled. But when we get into a fight, he loses his shit. And he says, the only person that gets under my skin is you. I'm like,
you're the only
one.
You're the only one. Yeah.
He's like, you're the only one.
Yeah.
He never gets mad.
Oh,
but
wow.
Now that I think about it, the only time he's gotten mad is at me. And that's true love. Yeah. But
I love it.
Your parents loved Ben from the start, though.
No. They really didn't. They did not.
What? For real?
Yeah, it's not that they disliked him. They just thought that I could do better.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
You know, which is very annoying. It's very annoying. But we dated for 4 years before. By the time we got married, we had been dating for 4.5 years. But he asked twice, one very early in the relationship, if
he could have your hand in marriage. Very early in the relationship.
Very early in the relationship.
How
so
early?
We were friends for a long time. Ooh. So when we started dating, we knew almost immediately, like, okay, this is it. But we knew that we had other barriers. Like I was still gonna go to grad school, and then he still wanted to go to dental school, and so we had these kind of trajectories.
Yeah.
And so we didn't know when, if we were gonna get married, when that would all fall into place.
Yeah.
But I think he just wanted to let my parents know that this is our intent.
Yeah, that's very
especially
honorable.
because you know I was going out of state for grad school, and
but to let them know we're in it for the long haul.
Yeah, he wanted to let them know this is serious. It's not, you know. But when we first started dating, they did not. How
many years into dating was this?
Immediately, they didn't like it, and my mom,
but like you guys, when you came to them with was it like you two were in a relationship for 2 years so far, or what?
No, very, very. It was probably that first year. Wow. Within the first year, and I wasn't there. I wasn't there. Ben used to call my mom up because I was in grad school, so we were long distance. But Ben would call my mom up and say like, "Hey, like, do you want to go grab coffee?" And they would just go and
just the two of them.
Yeah, just the two of them.
That's sweet.
So he was like, I think this was after he had asked my parents that, you know, we do want to get married.
Yeah.
Whenever that happens.
Yeah.
And my parents said, they kind of shot him down. They were like, well, you don't have a plan. Like, what's your plan in terms of, you know, he wasn't in dental school at that time and was still working towards it. And my parents I thought that my parents would understand this because, of course, this was early 80s when my parents got married.
Yeah.
My dad moved from Seoul to Boston for his graduate studies.
They had such a long distance and all that chaos. Yeah.
When he moved, he and my mom got married like very early into his graduate studies. So that he had somebody to take care of him. And that's not what he said. That's what, you know, his parents wanted for him is, oh, we're sending you overseas and I think you should have a wife.
Wow.
Right? Very traditional.
Yeah, yeah.
And my mom, she grew up here. She went to college in California. And in her mind, too, it was very traditional. It's like the next thing to do after I graduate is get married.
Right.
So they got married and then they lived in Boston for 6 years. And that's where I was born. And they did the whole grad student life.
Yeah.
Where, you know, they're on a tight budget. They're on a student budget, right? But then they're planning for the future. And so I thought they would understand because this was kind of the life that Ben and I had. Ben was going to be in graduate school for the next, you know, 7 or so years.
But it's probably because they understood they didn't want that for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Because they understood.
Wow.
So, yeah. They gave him a hard time.
Oh,
so it wasn't
Ben.
until when he proposed, I was shocked because we were maybe, I don't know how many years we were into dating, maybe 3 at the time. And I didn't know how we were still long distance at the time. I didn't know how we would end up in the same place. But here's the proposal. And then the first thing I blurted out was like, what about my family? Like, because I was like, I don't want to go behind them. And, you know, and
wait, because he didn't get the approval yet?
I had not heard anything. I didn't hear anything from my parents. I didn't hear anything from Ben.
But had he gotten it already?
He had.
Oh, Ben.
Not too long before that.
Oh.
So he told me how it came about and he had to kind of, so now it's kind of legend in our family. It, like, like my sister, when she was getting married, when her now husband was asking, you know, for, you know,
hand in
marriage, blessing or whatever, he asked Ben, he called him, he's like, hey, so Ben, I heard you had like a PowerPoint to, and Ben's like, whoa, no, I didn't. But this is how like that kind of story gets, you know,
where did he get
the game of telephone
from? Your sister?
I think my mom said he had everything laid out, like points. He anticipated what questions they were going to ask, like what are you going to do this, how are you going to
Did he have a paper format of something?
No, he didn't.
But he was so ready.
Yes.
Wow.
And so I just chuckled because I was like, it's funny that he interpreted it at my sister's husband interpreted as he was so well prepared. It was like he had a PowerPoint presentation. Yeah. But he did that because for years my parents were not
there were so many questions.
Yeah.
They gave him so much like Good for you, Ben.
It was less so about him than, you know, you guys are not in any kind of position to be able to support yourselves.
Right.
And, you know, we know that life. We don't want that life for you guys. Yeah.
But girl.
Yeah.
We don't praise Ben enough. Good job, Ben.
Yeah.
동생 최고야. Oh, thumbs, not thumbs. Yay! Thumbs is not cool anymore. Let's go drink to Ben. Okay. 응답하라, 여친.